have 6 o'clock, everybody.
Yep.
Alex is stuck in traffic somewhere. Sure it's gonna get better with the rain.
There's traffic
I'd
everywhere.
like to bring this, meeting of May 8th, 2025 to order. We have
Echo.
an echo of unbelievable proportions. Should we do the minutes of the last
Sure.
meeting first?
Sure. I make a motion that we approve the minutes of April 28th.
Do I have a second for the sake of discussion?
Second.
Okay, does anyone have any discussion or anything that they would like to change or have a question about?
The only, and it's no big deal, but I was at that meeting Friday, April 25th also.
Oh, you want-
And, only because I did a lot of talking from the finance committee standpoint. I did some talking, I shouldn't say a lot, some. But I don't care, we can leave that out, it's okay too.
Okay. I guess we're all set. We'll just have a voice vote for this. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so move the meeting minutes. Interdepartmental budget transfer requests. I think you all have them. The first one we can discuss is
Doing as they're clipped together.
yeah, do them as they're clipped together. But this is the one to transfer $9,300.
They're all for the same department, right? I don't know what that signature is.
Yes.
That's me.
Treasurer collector, okay.
These are all from the, okay, so we're all clear there. These are from the treasure collector. The first one is for that $9,300. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $9,300 transfer
Okay,
from health insurance to Medicare to provide available funds for payroll in fiscal year 2025.
Second.
all right. Is there any discussion on this one?
So this amount is going into Medicare to pay on the payrolls of the town has to pay to Medicare for each person's whatever it is? Okay.
So, I have a question. How come there's so much in the health insurance that we can transfer it? All these are totaling like almost $22,000.
Well, it's $148,000, $145,000.
Well, that's my question.
Yeah, so
Why-
obviously, it's a great question. So when we do our budgeting, obviously it's based, it's a projection of where we think enrollments will be, and we do most of our projections based off of how many additional family plans. So the subscriptions or subscribers are down from what our projections were for FY25. Hence why you'll see a pretty healthy balance in the health insurance budget.
So if we didn't have to transfer this, at the end of the year, would this balance go to free cash for next year?
Yep.
Well, that's unfortunate.
You all set? So I have one other question, again, it regards all of these, but I thought when we did the budget, we talked about this a number of years ago, and I thought we were doing this, that at the town meeting, when we passed the budget, we passed a total amount for each segment or
Function?
whatever, right? So that we didn't have to do this at the end of the year. Passing the budget just kept labor in one and all the other stuff there, and you could, or the department head with you could move the stuff around so you wouldn't have to do these kind of things.
So
but-
I like that interpretation. I tend to agree with you, but our town accountant still feels comfortable with
No.
how we did it at town meeting, still wants to do it this way
Okay.
for FY25. I
All right.
think the way that we're presenting FY26 in the warrant is different, so the ability for for the town to be able to do exactly what you mentioned.
So this will be the last year
Maybe,
for this.
depending
Maybe.
on how, the accountant's preference, but
Cause I know,
Got
cause
it.
we used to go through the budget
yeah.
group by group and Pat.
You'd have a lot more
That was a
transfers.
motion for each thing.
Yeah.
And then we combined it all into one so that basically this
Now
kind
you
of a
think in the
thing.
warrant, right? It's just one number, right?
Correct, that's what I'm saying.
Which is very different than probably what you used to do. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And, oh, I know, I had one other question too, it goes back. A family plan, a family medical plan, do you know approximately how much that costs a month to do?
A month?
Depending upon the
Top of my
individual.
head, no.
Well, family
Plan
plan,
would be a family plan.
Just
that's the most, that's gonna be the most expensive.
Okay, but I thought that it would, the more you made, the higher salary.
Not for the medical.
Yeah, so to give you an idea, for the most popular plan that we have, the monthly cost is $2,500 a month for the most popular family plan that we have.
So 2,500 times 12 is 2,400, and half of that is, what, $3,600 a year? No,
36.
36,000.
Yeah, but remember, we're splitting that, so.
No, I know.
Yeah, so we do 75% of that.
Right, that's what I'm saying, that
Yep. So like.
the
it would-
250 you're saying is the town's share of that medical
No.
plan.
2,500's the full
The full
price.
cost,
and
yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
Town pays 75%.
and we pay, correct, yep.
what I'm getting at is to have a hundred, and going back with Lynn's question, 145,000. Okay, did I do the math right? If I took, well, 75% of 250 is,
Well, you're probably also looking at, this is as of May, so the June premium's
Right.
hasn't been paid yet.
right? But I'm saying, every year we get told we're budgeting
Yeah.
an extra family plan in there.
Or
so in
two.
case-
Or two.
Or two maybe, so that's, I'm trying to relate that to the
Yeah.
reason the balance is where it is.
Yeah, and we've had people come on and like we're hiring and people are leaving and
okay.
letting people go, right? So, the reasons for the variance is there also.
Okay,
And then the question about next year, right? So, if you'll recall, for when we prepared FY '25, we did FY '24 actuals and added about $10,000. So for FY '26, the budget that we have going to town meeting is just under $115,000. So kind of the same concept, but obviously this is one that, we don't always know the amount of overtime that we're gonna have, right? So that obviously, things like that increase our Medicare expenses that, are not as easy to nail down when preparing the Medicare budget.
Okay, so if everybody's set with questions, let's take a quick vote. All those in favor?
aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Oh, I'll sign these right after. The second one is for $5,400, guys.
So I'll make a motion that we transfer $5,400 from health insurance to the treasurer collector purchase services. For the purpose of closing out the year, 2250 invoice from Unibank, monthly monthly average payroll, $650, and lock boxes, $520.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this one?
Yeah, you wanna clarify this, cause this is kind of vague at best.
Sure, yeah, so, the largest part of this, so every year, our financial advisor prepares, and I'm gonna mess up the name of it, but it's the equivalent of our, official statement for our debt. So this is, these are costs associated with that, and now that I'm mentioning it, my conversation with the treasurer collector earlier, I believe that's every other year. So that expense, was not anticipated, when planning for the FY twenty-five budget. So that, will need to be paid to our financial advisor from UFASI, also known as Unibank. You will recall during the budget conversations that the treasurer collector highlighted, and there's a reason for his increased requests in FY twenty-six, is increased fees for some of our services through the treasurer collector's office, most importantly, like our lockbox service. So that difference there, the 520, is for increased fees from our lockbox servicer, as well as increased fees from Harper's payroll.
Also, those are payroll fees, nothing to do with average payroll. These are just, okay, that's the thing.
All right, does anyone have any more discussion on this? All right, let's just do a simple voice vote. All those in favor?
I,
Anybody opposed? Okay, perfect. The next one in the order is for 2,500 from the health insurance fund going into the tax title purchase services account.
So I make the motion, we transfer $2,500 from health insurance to tax title purchase, services, to necessitate the continuation of pursuit of the town's 18 case in Lane Court.
Second.
All right, does anyone have any discussion about this one? Hearing none, I'd like to take a simple voice vote. All those in,
Before you go, I just do have
no,
one.
not a problem.
So the tax title purchase services has 0 in it right now. So what would happen if we didn't have money to put into here now? I mean, we do have, I know we'd have the reserve fund too, but what would those tax title things would just have to stop until the 1st of July, basically? Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay.
Any more discussion? Simple voice vote. All those in favor?
I,
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next one is for $4,500 to come out of healthcare to into postage supplies.
So I'll make the motion that we transfer $4,500 from health insurance to postage supplies, funds necessary to continue process of town mailings.
Second.
We've had a motion made and seconded. Does anyone have any discussion on this one?
So this is for postage, so if we don't do this, they can't send any bills out, right?
So you're gonna say no? Is that- Yeah.
So,
If we're gonna say
You're
no,
gonna
they
vote no?
can't say
Yeah,
that.
smart. Hey, that's smart.
Wait a minute.
Bobby's got a
We need the
good
money.
point, yeah.
so is the reason that this transfer is required is because we didn't budget it correctly? And,
Well,
No,
postage
I
went
mean,
up too, right?
Yeah, so there's probably a little bit of that, but also, like the expenses related to the election end up usually hitting us a little bit harder than probably we end up planning for, and this is probably, especially when there's a big general election every 2 years or 4 years, we probably end up getting hit a little bit more. I do know that those expenses, especially for vote by mail, ended up being a little bit more than traditional with the most
we have the
recent.
experience of those processes, right? So we should be able to
Yeah, but
be a little more accurate in forecasting.
yeah, except you don't know how many people are gonna require a vote by mail ballot, right?
Okay.
And that's the, even though ideally we have a, very healthy budget, we can afford to do, vote by mail, for example, for everyone. It doesn't always happen, especially for something like this. But then also, where treasurer collector's office is, and a lot of kudos to Nick George, our treasurer collector, is being, more aggressive with liens and demands, and going after some of the past due accounts, and that postage expense, when you're being a little bit more aggressive, hits this account harder than probably we have in the past.
Okay.
But a lot of years we see postage transfer because it's so fluctuating.
Yeah, ideally, this line item in the budget is I hate to say it, but over budgeted, because it would allow for departments to kind of do a little bit more of the, and across all, right, because this is kind of a catch-all for a lot of the postage for most of the departments, right, so, ideally, it has more resources than, probably all of us would think would be necessary, just to allow for, whether it's a treasure collector being more aggressive, or town clerks, whatever, so.
We don't get any of the money for the mail-in ballots back from the state, not much, I get it. it's
Yeah,
not
we
much.
get some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that goes to general fund, so it doesn't make a difference.
No, actually, it goes into like, well, part of that goes into the general fund, and then there's costs associated with like extended polling hours that go into its own special revenue fund. So depending on what kind of expense, depends on, where it goes. But these ones go into the general fund.
Okay, so therefore, we don't need to move it down to elections
Correct.
during
Yep.
your department. Okay, great.
All right, does anyone have any more discussion on this one? All right, if none heard, let's have a simple voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The last one, is, for $50, coming out of the treasurer, other charges, to the life insurance.
This one's too big.
Too big, not even worth a minute. So I'll make the motion to move $50 from, treasurer, other cat charges to life insurance, necessarily due to additional enrollments in the current year.
Second.
We have a motion made second. Do you have any discussion on this one?
Just out of curiosity, why did this come from a different than the other one?
I'm sorry.
Why did we move, or we're moving this from a different fund than that health insurance one?
I don't know, I didn't have a discussion with the treasurer collector about why he chose other charges, than health insurance. So I can't answer that, I'm sorry,
Is he trying to spend that down?
maybe, yeah.
It's not much money, I'm just curious.
But again,
Thank
$50.
you.
But this is, it's only $50, but it's pretty much about the cost of one additional enrollment. It costs us about $50 for the town share for the life insurance.
Okay. Any other discussion on this one, guys? All right, let's have a simple voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Unless somebody has something that, another one, that's all that I have. I'm just finishing this up.
I believe the fire chief may have reached out to you, Alex, chair, maybe Darren, vice chair, just about, flagging. I don't know if this will be necessary, but, we are taking a look at the public safety building purchase services account. Just some of the expenses on our utilities are tracking a little bit higher than Seth had anticipated, so I think we'll be able to cover it, with existing line items within the billing accounts. But if not, the fire chief may come for a finance committee reserve fund transfer request to cover that, but we're gonna monitor that every warrant just to see how we're tracking,
So is it running light now?
a little bit.
Okay.
Is he concerned about the overtime and the pay with 2 or 3 people out right now?
So we did an internal transfer to cover some of that, so to answer your question, yes. I think, but also just for the quality of the service, I think he's concerned, but, with the internal transfer that we did from regular wages to overtime, he's on track, and tracking only about 73% expended, where he was maybe healthier on the regular wages side. So I think we have 3 folks out on either
Short term.
IOD or, yep.
So,
By chance, could either one of you send the rest of the board the letter that you got from Seth? So that we have it for our records going forward?
of course, let me see.
I just wanna be able to see
No,
it, that's the thing.
no.
Yeah, I know, I was just like, I just wanna see it so that we know.
Yeah, for the record.
Here you go, Karen, you can handle it from here.
Can you figure this out?
No, she didn't, like everybody, so, all right, so is there any other,
That's just information, we're not doing anything with
there's
that.
nothing, it was just,
For the future.
he was just
It was
sending
an
a,
update, it was an
he was,
update.
yeah,
Right,
sending
but
a,
it's a good way to keep track.
So then that should get forward to the rest of us so we can see it.
That's what she's doing.
that's what we're doing right
No,
now.
I'm just saying, that's what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Is there a reason why it would be preferable to go to the reserve fund versus tapping more out of this insurance line?
No, I mean, so I was not copied on this, so, I didn't have a chance to discuss the reserve fund potential there. I think we're looking at all accounts at the end and whether we can cover it internally within the public buildings budget or rather than tapping into the reserve fund, doing like what you just did here,
Just ignore
the
the
transfer
Amazon
from another
purchase,
line
that's
item.
all.
That's something that I think we'll discuss,
With the rest of them.
with Donna to see what makes sense, but ideally, we have a year like last year, we didn't have to come to you guys at all for the reserve fund, that was great. But we'll see when we get there.
Or a possibility could be at the end is a little bit from fire, a little bit from police, and a little bit from dispatch, if there's
Yep.
money's left in any one of those budgets too to do it, so.
Just house managers.
Depends on what they gotta look at.
So my executive assistant just sent it to the group, you should all have it in your email.
Okay, so how do I open it to read it? No,
We're not gonna go there tonight, I can't help you with that.
I'm just kidding.
All right, Alex, are you free
you
to go
here
with the
yet?
next one?
I made it. Holden was literally just.
Oh, it was a crap show with the, yeah,
There was not even any, there was no reason for traffic, there was no
There's
accidents.
no funeral?
No funeral, no, nothing.
Because usually the funeral screws you up.
The raindrops were over an inch in diameter?
It wasn't
Oh, okay.
raining.
no,
It
he
didn't start
hadn't
raining
gotten that
until-
yet, so we,
So we're through, did we do minutes already?
Yep.
yeah, so we're done minutes, we've done interdepartmental transfers. We're on, number 2, the 2026 budget discussion.
Yeah. Alright, so leaving last week, we had a number of questions that I brought to the attention of Austin. I sent out just today the list of free cash that was available as well as the cost of the salary increases. This you're all looking at me like I'm crazy, did I not come?
It's right here.
Yeah, today.
Alright, yeah. We had issues with it getting to me, so I was like, did it not go?
No,
Okay,
came today at,
this morning, right?
This
yeah,
morning sometime.
yeah,
I sent it right after I got out of the shower at the gym.
TMI.
Yep. So that was one of the bigger pieces that we wanted to understand before we make further amendments or decisions going forward. So I hope everyone got a chance. I know obviously it was just sent today, so I understand that, you haven't gone through it fully yet, but hopefully you're taking a look at it. If not, we'll take a look at it in a minute. The other pieces were to talk about amendment language, which I still have not done. I'll have to do before Saturday, so I don't have a lot of time there.
That's ridiculous. Alex, we gotta get that done. We can't wait till Saturday afternoon, because Saturday afternoon we have a half an hour. And if anyone has a problem, I mean, half an hour is not a lot of time.
Well, the amendments are, we have the amendment motion that was made, we just have to put the language in place. It's not something that needs
The
to be
money.
voted on.
The
Yeah,
money,
the money is the thing.
the money that we were looking for, yeah, that's the thing, we need that money.
We talked about that. Did you figure that dollar figure out?
He has it.
The 5% cap on the Wachusett?
Yeah.
You and I talked about that for way too long, and then we
5% cap on the Wachusett district budget.
yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, and what that equates to for Rutland, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
discretionary thing.
the piece for, we wanted to talk to, or get a legal decision on how we were gonna do this. After talking with Austin about this, if it's okay, I'd rather not use legal money and just have it done on the floor. If they have a problem with it, they can correct us on the floor. That way we're not spending additional money.
So you're not looking for a legal opinion, or an opinion on the legality of the motion?
Correct.
Okay.
So we were gonna look at that prior to the meeting, but obviously we'd have to bring that to legal and that would cost money, so.
Right.
Basically, we kinda said, should we be spending that money that we don't have?
Makes sense.
I get that. The problem with doing that to me is if we do it on the floor and then legal says, no, you can't do that, we look like, big dummies. But to save a buck, I guess I'm taking that chance, I guess.
Well, we explained it at that point, we did it to save the money.
Yeah, it is, yeah, that's the intention, I guess, but I don't love it.
Do we have no money left in our legal account?
We have money, but I just, I think an additional commentary is, remember, the select board, in the warrant and in their approved budget, well, first of all, they recommended the district budget, recommended the full amount, put it in the warrant. So I think it puts me a little bit of in an uncomfortable position where going to legal counsel, spending town money for the
I make
finance
the motion
committee.
that we pay the legal bill to look at this out of the reserve fund. Because I think we need to make sure that we don't look, everyone's so worried about tiptoeing around. The fact is, we need to have a legal position on this so that we do the right thing on the floor. Right, wrong, or indifferent, spend the money and get it done. We spent plenty of money, in my opinion, this year on legal that we shouldn't have. I don't think we ask very little. I think we should be able to ask to have the attorney look at this to make sure that we're doing this right. Because if it blows up,
And
it's
what,
gonna make us look bad.
can you go back, Karen, what part of this are we gonna review? Just,
To make sure that the DESI guidelines were kind of murky as to what we had to do. Now, we can't vote on their full thing, because once they vote, then we can't amend it. So we have to have it right, but we wanna make sure the language is correct and legal, so that there isn't a problem.
So the language that, to the point, I'll second the motion so we can have discussion. But the point here is that the amendment would be the item that would be challenged, correct?
Right.
Yes.
And it's going to be challenged by whom? Who would, somebody from the floor?
Some citizen.
Someone-
The school committee people.
School committee,
School committee
people.
School committee,
I mean, we wanna make sure that we
School
have
administration.
our
okay.
T's crossed and I's
Well,
dotted.
the administration, if they're not town residents, they can
Yeah.
speak, but they can't challenge.
Right.
But-
So, but that's the point. And
But, okay, go
It
ahead.
will get challenged. I'm
Correct.
almost-
Well, without
almost
a doubt, it's
Yeah.
going to be challenged.
the legality of the amendment will be challenged?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm with Karen.
Okay, so,
Is there any concern that town council won't get back to us? It's tomorrow being Friday, that's my only
I
thought.
mean, it's their job, I don't know.
Well, who's reaching out to town council? Because remember, there's also a policy for access to town council.
It has to be through you.
And I just told you my position on accessing town council for something that that goes against what the select board recommended.
So you're saying no board except the select board has the right to use town council?
I'm not saying that, I'm saying that I, in my position, don't feel comfortable going to town council with something, asking for legal advice that goes against what the select board's voted and recommended budget was.
Even though the finance committee's job is to look out for the best interest of the town, and we are just questioning the select board, we're
Well,
not supposed to
so
question the
that's what I was
select
just
board?
gonna say, exactly. I respect what you're saying, Austin, but
I do too.
this board has a job to do to review the budget as it was presented to us, which we've been doing, and we're trying to resolve an issue that we have a concern with.
Right.
And there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be allowed to ask that question. And if it has to go to town council to answer it, that's where it should go. That's our job.
So, and we're not asking Austin to.
And
to
if we
go
don't have
against
money
the
in our
select board.
account to do it, and there's a legal account in town, which everybody else in town uses, That could be used. And the second part of it would be what Karen just said. If we have to transfer money to do it, then
Yeah.
that's what she's proposing. There's no reason why we can't do that. I'm just saying, it's not, I don't think we're trying to say this to oppose you or that. We have a concern and something that we're worried about.
Right.
And I guess the thing I can add in now, I mean, I was reading this financial review from our, I don't know if anybody else has read that or not, but there's some pretty scary things said in here about future numbers and where we're going with our funds.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the scary future for months
Exactly,
now.
but that's what we've been talking about also. So
Well, so,
we asked these questions at our last meeting 2 weeks ago.
I understand and respect, obviously, this committee's role, especially as the advisory committee to town meeting for financial recommendations. However, again, my position is the select board recommended and endorsed the full budget, put it in the warrant as such. You guys made your recommendation to defer because you wanted to have this conversation. I also think it's kind of late in the game to do this. Tomorrow's Friday.
And
Town
honestly-
meeting is Saturday, right? So I don't even know if town council will get back to us.
To be fair, I did ask
With all due
you
respect.
about this like a week and a half ago,
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And to be
But again,
fair,
that's why we're separated
Well, and also-
as the finance committee from the select board. That's the whole idea of separation, so that there's an oversight to what's being done here, to what we're looking at on behalf of the
So
taxpayer.
why don't you guys ask town council at town meeting that we're paying for him to be there?
Well,
Because he's gonna, I know what's gonna, because it won't be Lauren, right? It'll be the other guy?
Roger? Yep.
So what Roger's gonna say is, I haven't had a chance to look that up, and I would have to research that.
Well, so, but
can
how,
we-
but his legal advice at town meeting is no different than any other random resident standing up and making an amendment, and he speaks on the floor to the legality of that amendment.
But we're not random.
will that person be there early? I mean, usually they get there a little early. I mean, they're not right there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
A lot of times
what, he probably gets there usually around the same time most of us, right? So
Okay.
5:30ish, yeah. Yeah, especially he's not coming, but I don't know, I mean, because I didn't attend your last meeting, do you intend to speak from the floor on this and make your motion? Do you intend to speak from the table? Like,
This
there's
is a
things like
finance,
that.
this is a finance committee.
Well, it depends. We haven't, when we vote, if we vote on that, we talked about it, we voted that we thought we wanted to do that, then it would be from the finance committee.
No,
No,
we
that's
voted,
a
we
motion.
agreed, that was an
Okay, right.
motion.
We
Well,
did-
just, and not recalling, obviously, the details, closely of our conversation, Alex, when talking about this. Remember, the only thing that is important for you guys is what your total appropriation is. So you can make a motion in the spirit of trying to reduce their overall budget, increase by 5%, but what really matters to you is what your proportionate share is. So I think the motion or the effort spent on a motion to talk about their overall district budget, and
no,
this
it's
is
not
just.
gonna be the overall. It's gonna be a reduction of
Yeah.
roughly, it comes out to roughly 270.
So then
again,
why don't you just
even
make a motion as such, which is totally
That's what
appropriate?
we are.
Yeah,
That's what the motion is.
so then what, I mean, hasn't that happened before? And you guys have done it? You've reduced the appropriation by a certain
I
amount?
haven't been here when it's happened, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, we
we
tried to.
So why are we talking about if it's legal or not if you've done it?
I have not I haven't done it. It has been done and it was challenged. I
But it
don't
was
remember.
passed, right? And if there was
But
an issue
again,
with town council on the
But
floor,
I guess my issue is we very rarely ask for any funding. And now we're being told, because we're going against, the select board has required it, blah, 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 we can't spend money.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I find it insulting that we can't use town council.
Right.
And we asked 2 weeks ago.
and we
But,
wait, look at how long it took us to get a budget. We've only had a couple of discussions about it. We
Right.
got it so late.
But part of the basics of this is that sheet that we got from,
That's,
I have it here, Desi, whatever it is. That reading it, it was confusing to what had to be done.
Well, I just wanna make sure that the motion that we're making is written such that it's acceptable. And we spent town money on the special town meeting on this, not quite citizens petition, but kind of citizens petition of the last meeting. We spent town money on that one. So I think a town committee asking to spend a little money isn't asking too much.
Well, I think that's a little bit different because the select board decided to call a special town meeting, which is within their right and authority, and town council works for the select board.
So it's not within our purview to be able to spend any money on the legal.
None
That's
of
what
us
he said.
authorized.
Well, I'd have, yeah, that's the policy.
Okay.
Well, then, all right.
Darren, can I add one more thing?
Go-
just
no,
before-
no, go
It
ahead.
goes right along with this. Now, I just want to, because I was speaking to a gentleman yesterday from Sterling, and he said the Sterling Town Meeting, I don't know if anybody else knows any of the details there, but they did the same thing. They put that article on the floor. I think, I don't know for sure, but what I understood was, I think there were 3 amendments that were attempted. They all failed,
Sure,
and then the whole budget passed in Sterling.
sure.
Last year, they did the same thing and the amendment passed.
So school committee was supposed to vote last week on passing the chapter 70 funds.
They did.
They did. They approved it.
Which is why our reduction was less those funds.
Since when, I get a question, how long has that been that we can't have a question to town council? Has that been forever, or is that just a new selectman policy? Cause I always thought if we needed to, we've asked some
I
questions
know in the
before.
past we've asked.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't do it very much.
We don't.
well, obviously,
But in the past, we
we don't do it
needed to.
enough because we asked for it this time and everybody out there said no.
Is there any,
But I
chance?
also agreed that maybe we wouldn't, like Carson just said, we may not get in, we got one day, maybe the best thing is to try to talk to them Saturday night, right there on the floor. Before the meeting, when we have our meeting.
So, I know we took a vote to do this. We are,
So my recommendation, draft your motion,
It's just a motion.
like what Tommy said, have your meeting and go over to Roger and say, hey, we have a quick question for you about a potential motion. Can you take a look at it for us?
Don't bill us.
Well, he's gonna bill us because he's gonna be there,
Well,
right?
they're,
So-
like you just said, they're
Built
there, so.
into it.
we're paying them a lot to be there.
Um,
Why we even,
And Roger's a town moderator in
Why do
another
we even know
community, and he can tell you what
where
is
this question's
appropriate.
going. Why are we
Why-
bothering with this amendment anymore?
well, we're going up a road, up a river,
Uh-huh,
and it's a slippery slope, and we're
Yeah.
not gonna get there.
yeah,
We already know we're not gonna get
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Why,
I like the way it
are we doing it at a,
at this point.
I think
fine.
it's out of principle, but I think we're, Karen, I agree, let's fight the fight, but what is the game gonna be? We're gonna get beat up again.
I guess my whole thing is, are you agreeing with the amount of money that the school is paying? Whether the town votes yes or no to the amendment, do we think it's financially prudent to approve the school budget as they handed it to us?
I agree with what you said,
I do
and I
not-
agree, and I think
do
this
not
way,
agree with it.
this way, the amendment or whatever the discussion is on the floor. And if nothing else, it's explained to the body that's there why we decided this, what the ramifications are coming down the road if we keep going the way we're going with what we're spending, and it's a chance to put that in front of them right there.
So have you
Somebody's
guys,
gotta do that.
have you guys made your recommendation yet, voted a recommendation, yes or no, to recommend or not on this article?
Recommend is the current, yes.
Okay, so whoever will stand up and say the finance committee, was it gonna be you, Tommy? Probably. I assume maybe someone will say why. Do you guys have something prepared for why you're not recommending?
Yes, generally speaking, yes.
Yeah.
Well, right after we do the,
Not recommend, we'd probably.
not recommend we do the amendment.
So you're not gonna even say why?
No, we will with you.
With the amendment, we're explaining why.
Gotcha.
Well, all right, so,
Okay.
That's the
Well,
explanation.
we could say when we recommend, our recommendation is unfavorable on this, and we plan to make an amendment to the motion, which will be explained at that point.
But we do the amendment right away.
But what if
Because-
before you do it, someone
Well,
moves the
no.
question? And you guys don't have a chance to explain why you didn't recommend and the town just votes on the article?
It's fine.
so,
But don't you want a chance to explain why not before making the
Anyone
amendment?
can move the question at any time. And they could do that right before we even try to explain it.
I understand that,
But
but
the town moderator
I think,
should recognize the town boards that are trying to present the information.
I think out of respect to you guys, yeah, I
Right.
think so, but I'm not Randy.
A lot of respect to us. I don't think it's asking too much to have the lawyer look at it, but you know, hey, whatever.
So the idea is that we are going to recommend to the town that they do not approve the school budget.
That's correct.
That's what our current motion is.
And done. Now, we're recommending say no. And why do we have to make a motion?
Because we gotta give a number of why we're saying no.
No. Do we have to say it's because we don't like they
Well, I
have
know what
orange
he's
suits?
saying, he said even if we vote no,
Right.
right, as a group,
Right?
hopefully someone out on the floor is gonna ask us why.
Yeah.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
But we've have voted as a committee to put this, amendment onto that motion with the number that we talked
I
about.
know, but we're hearing, I mean, Darren's got a good point. This seems like we're trying to push a
They
rope
will, but
uphill.
I agree with what Asa just said, we should do it ahead of time, so we're ahead of the curve and just say, here's why, explain our position.
If we,
They can
if we
vote either
don't,
which
if
way
we
they
don't
want
put
it.
an amendment on the floor,
Right.
we just say don't recommend, then we're the child-hating people that don't believe in education. Whereas if we explain why we wanna make the amendment, and here's why, and here's how, and we explain ourselves, that's how you explain it. Sherry didn't want us to make an amendment of an amount, because it's easier to say not recommend, and then it's an easier push through to say yes, cause we don't have any reasons. Whereas we give the number, we give a reason why.
Who was our member that lived on 68 over there?
Bindu.
Carla, yeah, the last time we did this, I mean, he got hammered by the booze and the people screaming from the floor, and it's like, we're
Every
just.
year this happens.
No, I know him, but we're just, it was bad.
Respectfully, we're gonna be the, Karen, we're gonna be the child hating people no matter what we do.
I'll make the amendment. I have broad shoulders. I have no problem standing up and saying, here's
I'm
where I
saying that's why
stand.
we gotta get up and explain what we're talking about, that's all.
And with the amendment, we explain why.
Correct.
That's it.
Explain it, and then before you get, or whoever's doing it, before you get done, I so make amendment to do it, right? In the
Right.
same conversation,
Exactly.
no one can break your conversation at that point,
Exactly.
and you're done.
Yeah, but if the moderator didn't recognize you to do that, he asked us for that's why I said what I said, he asked us for our recommendation, that's how the motions go.
So I think we have to recognize that Sterling had their meeting, they approved it. They were the only one last year who attempted to lower it and did lower it. So the one person who did it last year didn't do it this year. All the other towns, both finance committee and select board, have recommended the school budget,
Including Paxton?
including Paxton.
So we
Paxton.
are,
So we are alone in this.
outlier. So this
Doesn't mean
one,
that the towns will approve it, to be
Just for
fair.
a second, Paxton, have they
haven't
moved their
had their
meeting up?
no, he's saying that it's not the.
The select board and the
before-
finance committees have both recommended
Okay.
all of it.
Right.
Sterling is the only one who has voted on it, and they voted to approve it,
Okay.
right?
Right, and Paxton moved their meeting up to see what Sterling was gonna do.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, that's what I was
moved up
told
way
that directly
Well, they
by
moved it back,
somebody from
actually,
Paxton.
right?
Well,
It's like
yeah,
June 13th or something.
which way you look at it,
13.
depends on where you're standing, whether it's backwards or
If
forwards.
this amendment passes our town and all the other towns pass the budget, we're gonna have to have another town meeting, right?
No. Because then the amendment, then at that point, the school, it's failed, so we get stuck.
We're
But we
one on
haven't
top.
approved to spend that money. I'm pretty sure we still
No,
have to have a town
because
meeting.
when 4 towns vote for it, when it's not 2 that go on the outside, it automatically gets forced down to us. That's how it works.
Even if the town.
But if we fail the article, if we fail to appropriate anything, I guess is probably what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying,
We'll
yes.
have appropriated nothing. So I think that's why you guys need to pick a number, whether you are.
Well, it would have been, but it would be,
We have a
it would
number.
be an amount, but it would not be sufficient, so we'd
Yeah.
have to come back to town meeting to increase that
Would we,
amount.
or there's a bid that does it?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
you'd
pretty
have to,
sure we'd
co-
have
if
to
it's the
come back to
full,
town
if the
meeting.
full budget passes, Darren, and we have appropriated a lower number, we will need to go back to appropriate the difference.
And then we spend more money on it.
Where are we in the order of towns
Not that
having
that's a
town
huge
meetings?
dollar
Then we do it, then we do it in the fall.
Well, the
do it in the
select
fall.
board did it, so
We
why
are-
can't we?
Second.
Yeah, we're second, so the next.
So we couldn't reconsider it on the floor afterwards and avoid another town meeting. I think the point is that we're trying to lay the groundwork that this is an ongoing problem. It's gonna be a problem next year. We're gonna be asking for an override next year. We've already, that's probably a done deal.
But I don't, so,
So this positions us to do that. And
how is this laying the groundwork that we're gonna look for an override next year? I don't really understand.
I shouldn't say that. I believe the writing is on the wall that there will need to be an override next year. And this is early news to that effect.
Do you guys plan to speak at, on Article 2 as a committee of town meeting to provide a report? That could be also another venue to give your thoughts about not just this, but any sort of.
The town review. It is.
So I know some communities during that article, the finance committee or any other committee of the town, I guess, has an opportunity to provide reports. You know, I could see down the road, maybe the town charter committee, when they're done their work, they present during Article 2 to present a report as well. This could be a venue for you guys to provide that.
We could do that. I mean, we're presenting our report as we're doing these articles at town meeting, but
Yeah.
you're right.
But if you wanna
that
have an
could be
opportunity to
done,
speak a little bit in depth about
Cause
it.
there's nothing in here that's from us, so that would be a good point to do it there too, Article 2. That's right.
Which would mean someone would state
We gotta have a statement made for that, right?
the statement, okay?
And I know Ted used the word, just laid the groundwork, but you can use different words here, but I don't, whatever, all the things we're talking about, as far as I'm concerned, whatever information we can put out there for what we're talking about is the best thing.
Sure,
You can't have too much information going out, talking about what we're trying to talk about.
you're right. Totally agree.
Cause it's as usual, every year we're banging our head against the wall. People just don't seem to come to the full conclusion that there's that one finite amount of stuff that we can work with, and we're trying to come up with a budget that's equitable for everybody.
I think the time of reckoning is coming, though. We all see it. Next year is gonna be very troublesome.
But that can be in the report, like you just said. I mean, that can be said. Yep, you're right.
So, there is a motion on the table, on the floor, for,
He won't bring it, so I can rescind it, cause he won't bring it, so not no use.
Well, we'd have to ask them under the policy, and then how are they gonna do that between now and Saturday, so.
yeah, absolutely.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, I don't know, I can call my attorney, and I get an answer usually within 24
Yeah, I was
hours.
gonna say, I feel like they could do it within that time.
Well, this is a problem that I think we gotta address with the selectmen. It's some policy that they have. I don't think it's a town bylaw that they control, but we have to talk to the
It's an internal
selectmen and
policy.
say,
Right, and I get it that we have to go through you for it, cause they don't want
Well,
150
Anybody.
people calling,
And
and
this
I
is
get
based
that.
off of probably something that happened before where
Well,
people went.
it wasn't that
directly-
long ago.
A number of years, because people would just pick up the phone and call them, and they can't, you know,
Right,
they
and
got a
I'm
bill.
fine with going through you, but that's my whole thing, I've got a funding mechanism for it, so that we make sure that it's done right, but it's fine.
I'm gonna make an attempt, another time for a motion to reconsider, the amendment to the school, article, I think it's 4. And
Before you do that,
We gotta do
if you're
something
willing
with
to rescind
cameras.
your
Are you
second,
willing to rescind your second?
I'll rescind the second.
no, you're making a totally different
apologize.
motion.
yeah,
But are we on Article 9?
Yeah. 4 is the operating budget, 9 is the school.
Nine
Oh,
is
I'm
the
sorry.
School budget.
Sorry, I was thinking, yeah. So the motion to reconsider our amendment on Article 9 and also our recommendation on Article 9. I don't know if I wanna do those as two separate motions, but
So you're,
I mean, we can discuss if there's a second, but
so he wants.
So you're asking to reconsider what we,
just talked
Voted
about for the
already.
last 20 minutes, correct? Yep. Mostly based on, and well, I already tried this, but Darren kind of just started saying it himself that this is kind of going down a unnecessary way.
Am I,
So we don't have a second on that. So that's gonna fail.
so, well,
wait a minute.
it was down, so what you're thinking, just for a sec. So the thing, so this
Can I
is,
say second just for discussion?
Sure.
No, we don't, no.
You
Okay.
can do a second for just discussion.
Yeah, but
No, you can't.
Further
The-
You could also
the
just
Motion is
vote
to
against
rescind.
it.
we don't
once
need to yet.
You can make you can second the
Alright.
motion.
so,
Hold on,
Okay.
okay, talk.
go ahead. So the only thing I wanted to say was, so if we do this and we go back and then we're gonna have to vote what we wanna say,
Right.
then it's all that more important than under Article 2, as Austin just suggested, that we have something detailed, written to explain what's going on. And put the facts down that we had considered doing this to reduce that number and why we did it.
Well, we have that in the motion for the amendment. The amendment.
But if we're
would
gonna
be-
reconsider
we're not
it and not do that.
Right, we're not gonna do the amendment, but we
No,
can,
no,
we
okay.
could use the amendment as a description of why we don't think it's appropriate.
He's just saying if we
So-
don't do the amendment, we could put that in Article 2 as some
Yeah.
sort of descriptor as to the issues.
Lay the groundwork of
Right.
what we're, what the
But I
town's
also
looking
think
ahead.
that, should the select board push forward and override, I would hope that there's many meetings of discussions on why it's necessary throughout the entire next year, starting May 11th. Sarcasm.
Agreed.
So, while I don't disagree that something in Article 2, to the point of the difficulty of upcoming years, and frankly this year, the difficulty of this year and upcoming years, I think that's a great idea. I think that we'll be talking about that a lot in the next 8 months to 9 months anyway as well. So I don't wanna say this is the only time we're gonna have to bring this up, because it is my point.
It's the only time in front of that group of people.
Maybe.
So, Darren, did you wanna second?
I'm still in deep thought here.
Okay.
Lynn, you're gonna stand up.
Huh?
Lynn, no, excuse me, Karen, Lynn's not gonna stand up.
What?
Karen's gonna stand up,
No, I will.
alright, but who's gonna, and then is Karen gonna make, who's gonna make a
Alex said he would make the amendment, but if he doesn't wanna do it, I'll do it.
It's my responsibility, if that is what the committee wants, I will do it, it's fine, I don't believe in it personally, I think I made that clear anymore, this was somewhat originally part of my idea, right? I think
Yes.
we've all talked about it at different degrees, but I believe that the school, and it was voted on last Monday, that they're meeting us roughly halfway. I get that it's additional funding that they're getting, but it's money that's coming back to us, it's half of the savings we wanted. I think that I think we're gonna be alone in this at this point, because of that, the money, the additional chapter 70. We're definitely gonna be alone, I believe, so to me, it's a losing war that I don't think it's fighting, and I think that we got met halfway, we take the small win, and we move forward.
They didn't take any cuts. The town is taking cuts. The school isn't losing anything. They've got extra people. We're not doing any of that.
So theoretically, if this, Karen, help me through this here. If the school, what we put forward passes as an amendment, and all the other towns pass it, and we're the only ones, could we make the amendment contingent on the other towns so that we wouldn't need another meeting? I'm
Wait
just
till the
saying, if,
fall. There's nothing that says we can't wait till the fall to fund it, because we'd still be able to make the payments
Right.
and do it at the fall town meeting.
Do it at the fall town meeting,
but
the
if-
difference,
but we could,
if we did it.
right, but if we just says contingent on the other towns, we could,
I don't know if you, I don't know, see, again, that's,
you know where I'm going
no,
with
I know
this.
what you're saying.
We don't have to have another town
But I
meeting.
also agree with you, what you and Alice just said, though, but the more we talk about this, and we've been talking about it for 3 or 4 weeks now, I think we're, as they would say in the outdoors, backing up the wrong tree.
Right.
But then.
I don't disagree with what you're
But
saying.
I always look at it
100%.
as whether we're gonna, but we put it forward to the voters to say, we don't think it's financially prudent. The
Correct.
majority of us don't think it's financially prudent, because they're not taking anything on the chin, but the town certainly is.
I agree with you 100%, and that's gotta be in what we say when we talk to them.
But if we're not gonna make an amendment, it's no use saying it.
No, there is a use saying it, of course there is.
Well, it's a report. If Article 2 is a report,
Well, that's accept the town reports, right?
right, so if one of
This
the
would be the
town,
first time that anyone's ever spoken of
Well,
Article 2, too,
and
so
I
just so you know.
understand. I understand.
So, first time for everything,
I
my mother would say.
understand.
Things are kind
I
of
broke
weird
my
now,
thing
and it's
did
not
this.
gonna get any better. So it's a great opportunity that Article 2, if we could use that some way to be able to announce to the town that we didn't like what was going on because, in this budget, because the Wachusett Regional School District didn't participate with us in the cuts. The town took all the cuts. And we're identifying this as a risk, and the risk is gonna go forward into next year because of that.
That
Something on
statement, by the way, propagates heavily us versus them mentality.
Yeah?
Okay.
So, it's us. Right now, there is an us versus them.
Did anyone at
around
the
this
school
town.
not get a raise?
No.
Well, that should be said also.
I'm asking the question, did anyone at the school not get a raise?
Doubt it.
Did anyone with a contract at the school get stepped down to where they're at this year?
Can't do it.
I mean, that's the whole thing. We've taken cuts here and we're not doing things that we know the town needs, and they're not participating in this.
So, Karen, just,
Yep,
if we were to make a statement of policy, a statement of the finance committee,
Financial impact statement.
a financial impact statement, and just say that this is the way we feel, and somehow incorporate that we don't wanna, though we should, we don't wanna go forth with another town meeting to get this squared away, and make it known that we are totally against this and everything else, and list our reasons, and we all have a bunch of them, and you and Alice can certainly speak to this. I think it avoids the potential for another town meeting.
we're gonna have another town meeting in the fall anyway. We have one every single fall. We can do that then. We are not preventing the schools from moving forward with what was agreed. We can pay what we need to pay, and because that won't be affected until the last payment that we make in January, whatever. So we wouldn't need to have another special town meeting. We can go into the fall meeting and not put the school at any
So
problem.
can I guess what my reasoning is, and I think we have to go forward on our own thing, but why didn't anybody else go this route?
Go
Why-
around.
The other towns?
Any,
Out of town?
Why'd they back down?
Why did everybody back down? You went to a meeting, you came back in here, everybody was fired up, we go, Hence back a week later, everybody's
They
like,
didn't
no,
get
we're
the
not doing
support.
it.
I believe one of the finance committees, the chair was the only person to vote against the school budget.
But certainly he's the only one that I know, anyway, but I
They
heard.
challenged it.
No, that they had their meeting and they had amendments that were voted down. And then they voted for the whole budget because those amendments didn't pass.
All right, so here's, Karen, you're better financially than me, I'm trying to reason this through. If we didn't make this amendment, the ship is still sunk next year, we're just trying to like fire a warning shot across the bow, right?
Fixing anything.
Is that what you're saying?
I am, but I'm saying it's, the budget that they have given us is not financially prudent for the town of Rutland.
Correct.
It's not
Because we
financially
decided not to
prudent.
put forward an override, though.
Right,
So it's,
exactly.
it's really our own fault.
It's,
that we
it's
did
the
not.
governing body of the town, not our own.
Well, I'm saying the town's fault.
Right,
I'm
but
saying
we're
it's the
gonna get
town's
blamed
fault.
for it.
The
So-
select board's fault, because they're the ones that bring it forward.
Yeah.
So
But
make
in
your
the
second
end,
now, Darren.
You know, I look at it as our job with doing the recommend, not recommend, or whatever the heck it is now that you changed. Hopefully we'll go back to the other way. It is, you know, at least this way, we're telling the town, here's why we don't agree.
Right.
And here's the amount of money that we think it should be going to. Then at least we've given it to the voters and told them. Because if we don't, then we sit back on our hands and we go, I don't know, oh well.
Woe was us.
At least we put it in their hands to give the, they can vote it down. And I don't expect that we're gonna get this amendment passed. I don't. However, I still think we have to put it forward so that people are aware.
Well, so, okay,
So
so being aware.
Oh, I get you.
So being aware is one thing. We don't have to actually do an amendment, change something. We could just, as a matter of Article 2, we could announce the financial criticalities coming forward and identify it as being a risk that they're going to see, and that we were thinking about, or we were planning on not approving or not recommending for approval the school budget, but we've decided to go for it. And next year, problems, bigger problems.
So, what if we? I don't know how to do this. If Karen, we could vote, rescind this whole thing right now, and you could still stand up as Karen now, or
Yep.
Palmagussit Road and do what you wanna do.
Yep.
Would that be a better way than what we're going with the
Don't
finance?
ask her to do, don't,
No.
that's
I'm
not
just
right to
waiting.
put on her. If you
No, no,
believe
no.
that is what you want, make that in the, keep it in
To
the
me, I
finance.
think it has more effect coming from the
I just,
financial
I don't
board
think it's
of the
right to
town.
put that on somebody personally at this, like.
Well, she could still do
Oh,
it.
I would have done it myself.
I get it, but
But
that's,
I
I
honestly,
wanna be
I
careful
am
not to.
I'm a firm believer that this is, their budget is not financially prudent for the town. They need to take a little bit of skin in the game. And I will stand up, and I don't care how many people yell at me. I'll tell them, I'm sorry, I disagree. I said that to Sherry. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. It's not financially prudent. They haven't taken anything. We've got staff that aren't getting what they should be getting.
What?
Steps.
We're-
I,
Regardless, we're not, we got that, we're not, you know, we're taking it on the chin. We're getting less services. And yes, I know it's creating the us versus them, but the thing is, we're taking the hit as a town service and the school isn't.
But I still believe though that we're taking the hit because we chose not to go for an override.
Regardless,
I don't think it's regardless.
we had nothing to do with that.
Correct.
But
Yeah, that wasn't our
we,
decision.
fine.
Right. The Board of Selectmen chose not to go forward with an override.
Yeah.
I get it. So now we, this board, is in charge of making the recommendations of the of the financials of the town.
So we should make that recommendation and then go from there. We don't have to amend the thing, cause it's not, I don't think it's worth there.
So don't amend, just recommend against,
Correct, and then explain it again.
okay? Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
so someone's gonna second it.
So,
But here we,
Did somebody not second it?
No,
No.
so
We're
nobody
getting it.
seconded it,
we're
but
getting there.
All this
We're
discussion was
getting there.
illegal.
getting there.
yeah.
No, it wasn't, we were talking about it.
Just kidding.
So before we make a
And we don't need a second to discuss, that's a town meeting, you gotta do that. We're a committee, we can talk whatever we wanna talk about.
Well, if we don't second it, nothing gets done.
Oh, no, we won't have a motion then.
Alright, so here's another point that I wanna make, where does the town, I wanna say budget, or the town employee part of that's budget, does it come in after this or before this?
Before, it's
It's
already
before.
before.
See what, I'd like to shuffle these and hear me out. If this passes,
We
I
can't
want-
shuffle.
You can't shuffle now unless you make a motion.
The Board
on
of
the floor.
Selectmen have already placed them.
no, but.
And we
they've been-
can't talk to the lawyer to move it.
And they've been posted already, right? They've already been posted for 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Ask the town moderator.
You can
to-
shuffle it on
to
the
change-
floor.
yeah,
On the
change
floor,
it on
correct.
the
If you
floor.
get a vote.
Alright, so where I'm going with this
Can
is,
you really, that's.
It's been done.
Go ahead, Dan, say.
where I'm going with this, Alex, and everybody in the room is, I think that if we're gonna pass this, we should go completely down and get everybody the raise for the one, whatever that, and Alex is what he sent us this morning with Austin.
Hey, Lou, can you find it and send it to me? I don't find it online. Or if you can throw it back to me, whatever it
There's
is,
a paper right here too, can I give this to her? Sorry.
Yeah.
cause I don't have it. But if she
So I
sent it
think
to me,
that,
so I have it, that's all.
my opinion, Darren's opinion is if it's 97,000, I want all employees. The only people that have money, I spoke to Austin about this today in a private conversation, not as a finance committee member, as a taxpayer, and asked him that maybe we shouldn't do the town planner right now because they have money. And we can do that in the fall as well, but we should make everybody else whole at this town meeting and leave that out of there. So it would be 74,977. So my only thought is that we bring everybody else whole. If we're going down, we got 1 foot on the
You got it.
Thank you.
moving around deck chairs on the Titanic, I think, well, who cares? We gotta go for it. Why would we not make the people whole that didn't get their raise?
So,
To me, it's
so,
two things.
we're talking
It's
two separate things.
No, but if
We're
this passes,
talking apples and oranges.
yeah, but if this so
if what passes, what are you talking, I'm sorry, just
So-
clarify what you're saying, I'm confused.
But we could also pass that kind of a thing at the fall meeting also to add to those accounts.
The raises?
What I'm saying is that the approved recommended budget by the Board of Selectmen that was given to us did not include raises. We, the select board, the finance committee, is going to take this up tonight of whether or not we use more free cash, which we all know is not a good idea. We all know, please do not yell at us, we all know. However, we're trying to do everything, we're so upside down, we might as well go down.
that's where I'm
But
going
that's
with
two
this.
different things, because
I-
even if we make everybody there, we're still taking hits on services because we did level funding, level funding.
But that's what we gotta have in
We
this
didn't even do
report
level funding,
also.
we took on.
Right, but even with level funding, there were no increases. There, so
So,
we're taking
I-
hits.
So that's
I
where
don't
I'm
know if
going.
we wanna talk I don't know if we wanna talk about that as well on. Oh, it's not
What do we wanna do with this motion?
that, I'm trying to figure that out.
That's the thing, we gotta stick with this.
So first, I don't disagree with you, and if you wanna,
Well, I would tie it to where I'm going, where I was trying,
Okay,
long story
all
short,
right.
I was trying to tie it to
finish your
this.
thought process then.
I was trying to tie it to the school thing.
Well, wait,
So is it,
I'm sorry, tie what? So,
this, making this recommendation to what the school,
yeah, but Karen's got a motion on the floor.
no, she doesn't.
No, I don't.
who rescinded it?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
no, you did.
Alex.
No,
Alex.
It's like, I
Alex
don't.
Which at this point, it's not even seconded, so
Yeah,
this
that's
whole
right.
Well,
discussion.
so
is-
the
working towards
motion's
here.
on the floor, and I think what Darren is saying, he wants to tie into that motion the idea of making right with all the other,
You
Well,
can't
that can't
because
because it goes
Yeah, there's two
before.
different
they're two
articles.
different motions.
It's a different
And
thing.
it's three
So-
different articles, it's three articles before.
so we should go on this, your motion now.
Do we wanna start at Article 4 then? Should I rescind my motion, we'll start on Article 4, we'll finish that, and then we'll go to Article, is that what you guys
No,
wanna do?
let's just let's do what we're doing here.
Or do we defer to the Board of Selectmen since they're so, and leave it the way it is and agree with the school, pass the school, recommend the school and leave the cuts the way they are and let it fall where they may, cause that was the Board of Selectmen's decision. And we go,
Ooh,
Your
yeah,
decision.
Well, that's not a bad thing, but the only problem with this is.
I have a problem, the employees deserve, I get that,
But
I
how do we
understand
get back
that.
to that? Cause it's gonna be four articles before this. You know what I'm saying? Unless we take it, ask Randy to take it out of order.
Or you
No.
get fall
Or
town
just
meeting.
do it in the beginning.
All we do is Article 4, we just say, recommend and just go with their cuts and take away everything else.
Well, what, I'm sorry, why are we doing that?
Cause that
I
was the,
missed-
Cause
that
that's
was
the
the
other
Board,
way, this is what we got and
Board of Selectmen
our
made
problem.
the
See them over
decision,
there.
this is their
those
budget,
5 people over there, see them.
leave it the way
I
it is.
don't think that's financially prudent either,
I'm,
but we
I'm,
try to do
I'm
that.
not saying that it is, I'm just saying, that's the easy way out.
Yep.
That was their decision,
Well,
that was the
it's not
budget we got.
It's not necessarily the easy way out, it's a way out that we didn't cause this problem.
Correct.
So, don't
Okay.
say that. Alright, I'm gonna second Alex's
I feel like we're
motion.
going off track here.
We got a motion.
Okay, so we're reconsidering the amendment and the vote to recommend Article 9. I'm assuming we should do each of those separately though. So, I think I've already said why I think I'm against the amendment. I was against it last week. I'm even more against now because the school committee has approved the use of those funds, so it's not like it's contingent, it's not like we're waiting on them to do that and we're not unsure if that's gonna happen.
So let's vote on the reconsideration first. So you could put your saying.
Keep them together for just the reconsideration,
Yeah,
and then
that's
you can
fine.
do two separate
Yeah, yeah.
motions.
I was just discussing why I want
Right.
to, okay, that's fine. So, all those in favor of reconsidering, the motion for the amendment and the motion for recommending
No, I thought it was
slash
just,
not recommending,
I thought it was just the amendment.
that's both. We can change it afterwards, like we could just all vote to not recommend again if that's what everyone wants, but I was opening up both because they're intertwined. If you'd like to amend my motion.
No, I don't wanna amend it, no.
Okay, so all
So
those,
this
We
would,
went around in
I'm still
circles.
confused.
this would
Put us back,
get rid of the idea that we're gonna make an amendment to the school budget on the floor. And we would also approve, say that we recommend, I don't know, whatever the hell that language is now.
we're re-voting on that.
Yeah,
Correct.
we just,
have
this
to
is
re-
All
just.
we're doing is,
We're
we're
reconsidering, right?
we're
putting a
ta-
big red X through it and starting from scratch, that's all we're doing with
We actually, we
reconsider.
have two more, we made a motion to
Not recommend
not recommend, and we made another motion to do that
amendment.
Right,
amendment, so I thought we were just doing
we should
that.
do them single.
I thought we were just doing the
This is
amendment
just a
thing.
reconsider.
Just to
This is just to
Correct.
This is just to
This is
send
to
it back to
reconsider.
zero.
So that doesn't actually change, it's just to,
We're gonna
Opens
read,
discussion.
yeah,
just
Validates our
opens-
discussion, is that what it
and
is?
then we gotta actually,
it's just me trying to get it changed. Anyway, so we're just reconsidering it, we're reopening the discussion on this, so, the motion is to reconsider Article 9, the recommendation on Article 9, and to reconsider the amendment on Article 9 as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes, me.
Abstain, cause I don't understand what we're doing.
well, now we have the ability to discuss Article 9, and our recommendation was to,
Currently not to
Not
recommend.
to recommend.
right,
So I think we should not do the amendment after all of our discussion, but we can still recommend no on the budget and explain why.
so,
Again.
so we first wanna do a vote on our recommendation, yea or nay, on the budget, right? So we wanna do first?
Well, first of all, I think we just said we would look at those, so we should make a motion if we wanna do that amendment that we talked about.
Right. Well, so,
I'm suggesting that we shouldn't,
so the
like
The
what Alex
motion-
is saying.
The motion would be to recommend the finance committee approval towards the school budget as presented.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
He's saying keep the not recommended, but no longer make the amendment. That's what he's suggesting.
Alright, so we just voted to reconsider what we did. So now what we're saying is we wanna be able to go ahead and vote to not recommend the school budget.
No,
We don't have to change it, cause we
We don't
already
have to
did
change
that.
it. I mean, we could technically leave it and not recommend, all we've done is reconsider it, so we're reopening the vote.
Right.
And we're discussing it right now.
Alright.
That's all that's happening.
okay, so I'll make a motion that we reverse our decision on making an amendment on the floor about the budget.
Second.
I don't actually, I'll agree, I don't know if the reconsider gets rid of that or not, but I think it's clear now that the motion is to remove that amendment.
Right.
Whether the reconsideration did that or not, I don't know.
Right.
We'll,
Right.
if somebody wanted to make an amendment again to do that, so, I am a little bit confused on the amendment piece of it too, but that's fine.
So as it stands right now, let's try to make it as clear.
Yeah.
We're still voting negative. We're
Correct.
still recommending no on this article.
Once we do the reconsider, it sets everything back to zero.
Okay, so
So now
that's
we
fine.
have to make a recommendation on whether we
Okay.
recommend,
Okay,
not
so-
recommend, or whatever the heck.
So
we do.
we're re-voting.
We're
though.
re-voting on Article 9.
Make an amendment, the other one is our recommendation for
Right, so we
Article
do the,
9.
we should do the
we're working on the
recommendation
first part
first, and then
So the amendment then is already off, is already
it's
zeroed.
already zeroed
So,
out, so.
Ted, you're correct, that's zeroed.
Alright, so now we're gonna
Start over with the recommendation. So he just made you made a motion for the amendment, I don't think we need that, so could you rescind that and whoever seconded rescind that, because I think we just decided we don't need that.
I'll rescind my second.
Wait, I'm confused. I thought we were back to zero, so we do need it. No?
He made a motion to remove the amendment after the reconsideration.
We voted to do this amendment. I'm saying, you said to reconsider, we're reconsidering it, and I'm saying not to do the
We
amendment.
reconsidered both pieces, so therefore, we're gonna start at zero. So make a recommendation on the article, and then see if there's a motion to make an
No,
amendment.
that's what you're describing, that's not the way I'm describing it. I'm describing it that we're making a recommendation
I'm
to
not in the mood
not
to fight,
doing
go ahead, do whatever you
thing,
want.
and then we can
Okay,
talk
so
about
let's
the
just, so
recommendation.
there's a motion on the table to remove the amendment. Why don't we just vote on that, and
I guess the road is flooded out.
that's not a surprise.
Yeah, cause of all the rain. Well, that's kind of bad.
Where is Palmagussit?
Palmagussit? Really?
The road
Time to
is
go.
getting close to collapsing by the houses. Okay.
Alright,
Alright,
so don't go home that way.
no,
Shit. I'm not gonna go.
Didn't they just fix Palmagussit?
alright. So we have to act on Tommy, we have a motion and a second
Yeah,
on the
the
floor.
motion is to remove the amendment, since we just voted on a reconsideration, I'd hope that we can just vote on this and removing the amendment, so that we can get back to square one and everyone's happy.
Right.
So all those in favor of removing the amendment on Article 9?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so fully back to square one, there's no recommendation, there's no amendment on Article 9.
So I would make a motion then that we still recommend no, unfavorable on
To not
Article
recommend,
9.
to not recommend, okay.
Not recommend.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
So we're gonna explain our not recommend
Correct.
during Article 2.
Right, and then reiterate it again here.
I'm sure somebody will ask, so
Right.
it's worth understand, yeah, I mean, I would think somebody would ask. I mean,
Collapse, so much going on.
Again, this is just to get our point across.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I agree with what Karen said. We gotta tell them, nobody, they're not taking any hits and all our side is.
Give me one
That's why
second,
it's
guys.
unrecommended.
But by doing it, in my opinion,
Correct?
Karen, herself, all we're doing is going, please don't do that again, school.
Tag, don't do it.
So
It's not gonna, they're not gonna stop.
No,
I get it, that's why I'm not gonna, I wanna get out of here eventually today, so I just,
I wanna do it so people understand that we've discussed this, and we've talked about it, and we're presented to them and telling them what we're saying,
Sure.
so that they can make a decision.
Sure. But I think if we're gonna start talking on Article 2, somebody better alert Randy, cause no one ever has done any reading in Article 2. We
He asked-
just need to let him know.
He asked if there's any discussion, if you wanna make discussion, you get up top. I don't say you can't
No,
tell them, but
it's-
there's no
yeah.
reason why you can't talk about it.
I'm
Well, you
just
said
saying,
that before, and we heard that.
I get it, but I'm saying it now to let Randy know.
Yep.
Because in the past, when we wanted to read a letter and we didn't let him know, he was almost not gonna let us do it.
Alright, I got you. Alright, so I have a note to tell him. Gotcha.
I don't think that's in our bylaws, so.
It doesn't cost us anything to talk to Randy.
that we know of.
I think
Maybe he won't bring water.
We,
we're about to milk a cow in trade.
right,
Fine. Okay, so the motion right now, I believe it was seconded, right? There was a second, is to not recommend Article 9. Is there any further discussion on
recommend
that?
unfavorable action on Article 9.
Yeah, so to not recommend is how we're doing right now, so I'm just keeping the wording clear. I mean, I think I'm on the other side. I think at this point we recommend, because we're not making an amendment. If we're not making an amendment, I think it's kind of, I don't think it makes sense to not recommend it, but, again, it's up to the committee and the final decisions committees. I think that the school is asking for the funding it needs to do its job. We as a town and the select board, more specifically, decided not to pursue an override. And therefore, the town is taking a hit, but the school has no impact on that override decision. So for them to get penalized for us, and us as a town, to not go forward with an override, I'm not sure that it's accurate. I think the school is struggling right now and it needs the resources to get the kids educated. I think that's the right direction for the town, but that's my piece. Any other discussion on the current motion?
The simple thing is, and I'm not gonna repeat it, but that's what Karen has been saying right along, and I agree with 100%. All of our department heads come in and ask for money, and the town administrator gave us a budget, and it's been cut. We've been taking a hit for it. So, because the school doesn't wanna do it, that's our point, is that we are getting hit on the other side, so that's it, I'm all done.
Okay, any other
Darren, don't
discussion
go, we
on,
wanna vote right now.
Okay, well,
any other discussion on the motion, which is to not recommend Article 9? Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of not recommending Article 9?
Aye.
Nay?
okay,
Or any opposed? Nay. Okay,
So what you find out?
Palmagussit Road from the right side going down Palmagussit Road is got some sort of a landslide going, taking out the road.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh,
by the 3 houses near the water,
Oh,
so.
3 houses by the pond or 3 houses
By
by?
the pond.
So the
Because we
north
also
side or
got the
south
back
side?
pond behind us.
Northeast side or the southeast side?
yes.
Of the hill from, what's his name's old farmhouse.
Oh, so the northeast side,
Yeah,
okay.
it's impressive.
Or as Austin would say, downtown.
I don't know what Arthur would say at the moment, but
So, so we're keeping the not recommend on Article 9. The amendment right now is off the table. I wanna give the opportunity if anyone wants to speak to that or to make a motion to put that back on the table. Obviously, I wanna give people the opportunity to do that. So, if anyone wants to talk about that,
Talk about,
putting the amendment back on, I just wanna give people the opportunity, I don't wanna
no,
skip
we just
over it.
voted, that's it.
I just trying to be respectful,
This is the third time it's done.
just trying to be respectful. Okay, so,
Can I now call the question so we don't ever have to talk about this again?
Yeah.
okay, Article 4, is what Darren was talking about and what we sent with the free cash. The current, amendment that we are planning to make at town meeting, the current amendment that we have a motion, an approved motion, on is to add the town planner, from free cash, so it's 22,800, I believe. 21,800, sorry. Darren has recently brought up, everyone else. I know, it's 97 grand according to the paperwork, that I sent out today. That includes the 22,000 for the town planner. I would like to make the motion that we, do that list, in full.
And what would that leave in free cash, Austin, if we did the list in full?
1,000?
$77,000.
$77.
77 sounds.
It is $77,345. Not including whatever goes into free cash from this year, which is not certified yet, right?
That's
So-
scary, ain't it?
Holden's using all their free cash to balance their budget this year.
Yeah.
So, we had the same conversation about what the other towns are doing, so let's have that conversation. That's what other towns are doing, they're spending everything they can to balance.
I mean, this is gonna be the last year we're able to do this. I think we all know that going into next year, there's no way we're gonna balance our budget.
We knew that a year ago now.
Yeah, no, well,
Well, Karen's kinda right, it's been a year ago.
Yeah.
It's
We
been
said a year
multiple
ago.
years we've had this conversation.
Well, after yes, but when we had the override, we did, okay.
so, my motion is on the floor. If there's a second, then we can discuss,
Second.
okay.
So this is Article 4 you're talking
What
about
was
now?
the motion?
To fund the entire, payroll, salaries. So the sheet that Austin sent out shows what it would cost to bring everyone back
Right,
up to
right.
the uncut, salaries, which includes
But what is your motion?
to act on that, to enact all of those,
Those cuts.
to reverse those cuts.
So
Reinstate those.
I thought that we said last week that we would have to make an amendment on the floor to do that because the selectmen have already recommended.
Yeah, so we currently have an a motion to amend Article 4 for $21,800 from free cash to fully fund the planner for the year. I am adding to that amendment to include the rest of this list.
That would make the amendment now 97,000.
Correct.
97,000,
97,000.
96,
96,870.
96, 770.
96,777
And then,
with 3 decimal places.
Yes, look at that.
97,777.
0.90. I'll round down.
96.
97 or for that exact amount?
96,777.9. That's what I should do, right, Austin?
89.
96778. No decimals.
Okay. 96,778.
778, okay.
He was looking for decimals.
God.
so this would have to be a motion that we would make on the floor.
Correct.
And,
Again,
goes
from-
against every fiber of my being. Karen used to beat it into me for the last 5 years.
Correct.
And I don't,
None of us are happy about it.
no, but I'm just saying it goes against every fiber that
Right.
we've tried to do. But I think that if we're gonna make one more run at this apple, we should do it now.
Well,
That's
this
all.
is to Karen's point, it is not financially prudent to spend more than we have on education. I don't disagree with that. I still believe that education should get what it needs, but she's correct that it's not prudent to spend what we don't have, right? But as I said last time we met, when you piss off employees and they leave, it costs you way more money to rehire somebody. So by doing this, to me, in my opinion, it is a financially prudent thing to do, because you're taking care of your employees and you're not losing money on the other side. And hopefully, the employees that are being treated right by this, or partially right, as what much as we can do, are happier and therefore give the town better services. There's a lot of positives that come from something like this, and, spending free cash, yes, we all agree, not a good idea. It hasn't just been pounded into me in the last 4 years being on this committee. That's been my financial, professional experience, that you don't do that. But when you need to, you need to.
Okay, so under Article 4,
We already lost somebody.
well, originally we deferred it, then we added that 21.8, but, so the finance committee, we need to say we're in a favorable action with the amendment?
No, we would, I believe we voted to not recommend that.
It's not recommend, because then we're making an amendment.
We would do the same thing we talked about with the school. As soon as we make our recommendation not to recommend, that's.
We should just go right, just keep the talk going, cause someone could move the question.
I don't think anyone would on that.
No, but you never,
But they still can.
But in this case, we actually wanna spend more money.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so if we say we don't recommend this amount, however, we will recommend it when we make the amendment.
Yeah, which we would just do right then.
Right.
We don't recommend, but we're making an
So the
Amendment.
finance committee recommends no,
Correct.
but.
No, we recommend no, and then,
however,
well, I don't know that you do however.
But then we're gonna recommend yes with the
Yeah,
amendment.
there has to be somebody that stands up to make a motion to amend the article, and.
So Alex is gonna have to make the.
could you say yes to with the following amendment?
Yeah.
Make a motion.
If I'm gonna say them, I can handle it.
we recommend with the following.
Let me put it this way, since we can't talk to the lawyer, let's do it this way, because we know this will tell her what it is. Since we can't
Okay.
talk to the lawyer,
All right, so let's vote on that.
don't worry, Austin, you'll only have to listen to it for a few more weeks, that we're not allowed
Oh,
to
it
talk to
could
the
be
lawyer.
tonight.
One more week. Okay,
Could be tonight. God bless them if it is.
So discussion, there was already a second. So all those in favor of the amendment to
97,778.
to increase the
96.
operating budget by 97,778 to bring all the cuts
From
from
free cash.
salaries from free cash back to the original budget.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Now, what,
That I will write tomorrow and send out to everyone for the amendment.
okay, so Article 3 on here, I've got, did we do anything with 3? I got deferred, we didn't,
Those were I have deferred to, that was the budget transfers.
Yeah.
Are there any budget transfers?
We don't have any
So-
required transfers here.
so Article 3 will come up when you're gonna say, move to
motion
take
will-
no action?
Yeah, so I think we sent out the motions document. I think it's to indefinitely pass over this article or postpone this article. So we're just gonna pass over that one.
So the motion, did we get copies of those?
Yeah,
You
it
should
came
mail
through
them out to
today.
you today.
No, we got it on the phone, but we don't have physical copies.
You'll have them on Saturday.
Oh,
I didn't know you'd be looking at the motions tonight.
well, we gotta fix what we're doing here. Okay,
No, save the trees.
all right, so
Papers
that's gonna be no, you said that's gonna be no action.
I believe that's all we had. I don't.
Well, no, I have a couple of questions. Okay. So we're on Article 6 is the capitalization fund, we're still a no on that,
You heard
correct?
that. You gotta see it.
The school capitalization
it's gonna
fund,
be loud.
yeah, select
Okay.
board voted no to.
Okay. And then that's the school, that's okay. Too many other pages in between, is there any other ones that we,
I don't think so.
I think we're all set on the rest of them. And then the last two were just gonna be no action, because we didn't have any information.
God.
Okay,
And which side is that on?
okay.
That's,
Going down the hill, or is it coming up the hill?
It's on the flat by the swamp.
Wow,
Yeah.
But which side is it on? Going down the hill or coming up the hill?
that's going down the hill, isn't it?
That's what I thought.
No, that's coming
It's
up the
coming
hill.
off the top of the hill by,
And going
on your
over it.
right, if you're going to ours,
Yeah,
it's coming off the hill on the right, coming across the road.
okay, so I'll be fine going home. Going out tomorrow morning could be tough.
You might not even get home.
You better go around the other way and go home.
They might
The
close it.
town's gonna have to start giving me gas money for all these detours.
Yeah, but they just did the road, didn't they just do the road last year?
I did.
Alright, that was last year. Did you get bit by something?
Poison ivy.
Who?
I'm
jumps
watching it get worse.
It jumps.
Was there,
No,
was
actually,
there,
it's getting better, I'm
was
at,
there
That's
any?
better?
this is
Yeah.
better,
I don't think
I'm on
there's anything
prednisone.
else.
Alex.
Yes, there
I
is.
do.
Okay,
Yes,
go
there
ahead.
is.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
We spent a whole lot of time talking about Article 2. What did we ever come to any resolution?
We came to a resolution that we think it'd be smart to put something forward. There was no motion made. I don't know that we need one because it's, well,
Can I see that?
Yeah, we
probably
gotta,
should have something.
no, we should be.
Discussion as to
Okay.
why we're not.
How do
what
we,
we're
how
up
do we do this?
against.
I'll make a motion that under Article 2, that we need to present a financial picture or a financial explanation of what's going on coming up in the next several articles in the budget.
I would make a second. Would second that, cause I think you're right.
Tommy, can you say that one more time, please?
I can't, because I forgot it already.
He wants us to get up and make
I
a
make it up?
A financial report
Report.
on Article 2, during
on the
Article 2.
articles that are coming up.
On the articles that are coming up, but I would say
With all
that,
the things we've just talked about.
Under the recommendation of
That
the
should only
smiling
be
guy
about
down there.
55 pages that you can read very quickly.
No, it's just one statement, we need money,
mo money.
a lot of it.
We both.
Okay, there was a second on, okay, any other discussion on that?
Yeah, I got some
I'm sorry, I
discussion.
missed who seconded.
Darren, I believe?
Darren.
I seconded it. Yeah.
There's discussion, okay, go ahead.
So, haven't we already submitted an annual report?
No, because that's one thing I wanted to bring up. There's nothing in the town report from the finance committee. I don't know what happened there, but
Do we have to?
we're supposed to, town bylaw. We are gonna report under the town meeting as we make our recommendations, but if you wanna call that our report, but we generally have a report in the book.
Well, so that may be true, but it's not gonna get in there for the town
Well,
meeting.
no, it's too late now, that's why all more important, we gotta do it under Article 2 while we can.
Okay, so excellent point. Excellent point.
So usually, if I remember correctly, and I think this is what Karen mentioned several times, someone makes a motion to waive the reading of the annual report or something like that? Does that sound
They don't,
about right?
they just accept, they say they accept it as it was printed, so.
Except as it was printed. So then we've gotta get up and
What
say,
does it say in here? Are these the motions?
we gotta get up and say, we never submitted anything and here it is right now?
No, we just
No,
wanna
we just
talk, we
talk.
wanna say something.
Because that's last year anyway. The one that we're gonna do for this year wouldn't be due until August.
Correct,
I know, I'm just explaining it to Ted.
but I'm just saying,
Say that again, please?
The one that's printed is last year.
It only goes to June 30th, 2024.
So the one that we'd be doing for this fiscal year
Has been done
will
yet.
be done for August.
but what we're gonna say under Article 2 to explain the article is gonna encompass all the problems that we've had budget-wise last year into this year.
I understand that.
Correct.
I'm just, Ted asked a question,
I
was answering.
understand that too. Yep.
Technically, we didn't have issues last year because we had the override, correct?
That was 2 years ago, we had the override. Oh, okay. And yes, we had problems last year.
They just weren't as bad.
Does that answer your question?
I don't know, but it brings up another question.
Okay.
Just sort of thinking through the mechanics of this. My recollection is, and I've been to a lot of these and my memory's getting crappy too, is that this usually just gets swept under the rug. So what we gotta be able to do is before it gets swept under the rug, we gotta throw up our hand and say,
Correct.
Well, I'm gonna talk to Randy prior and say we
Right.
are going to talk in Article 2.
She
Okay.
already said.
yeah, we had that before, so.
Yep.
And we've got this statement created,
No, he's gonna have to come
I
up
have
with it,
to write it.
and I was just gonna say,
it's
we gotta
gonna
do.
be very succinct, 2-3 sentence.
200 or 300
It's gonna
pages
be
every
more
time.
than
Two or
two
three
sentences.
sentences,
Bullet
but it'll be,
points?
it will be
Can you
relatively.
put together a PowerPoint that
That's
we can
right.
put up on the big
Put it up on the
screen?
screen,
If I have to.
or a movie.
And then, you know, tap dance around and do all kinds
I
of.
don't know if I
Dog
can
and
tap
pony
dance.
show?
Nobody wants to see me tap dance. Nobody wants to see me dance, period. I will write something up and send it out tomorrow.
Okay.
It will not be a multi-page document, it will be a single page bullet points
No
of.
pictures, diagrams?
There could be some diet. Well, yeah, depends on how much I wanna work. My boss won't watch this. Yes. It'll be a one pager, succinct to the point, and doom and gloom.
Well, it better include enough information about all those things we just talked about and what we've been doing here and why we did them, so.
We'll send it out tomorrow and then we'll have the time to send it back
Add
to
to
them.
it. Just please don't make me read too much. Nobody wants to hear me talk. I don't wanna hear myself talk.
Well, they may not wanna hear it, but they should hear it. Why do we bother talking about it then if they're not gonna hear it?
Oh, they're
We
gonna
could
hear
beat
it.
them over the head.
Okay. So there's still a motion on the floor for writing something, for me to write something on Article 2 to be presented on town meeting. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion?
I,
Any opposed? Any other business?
The only other thing I'd like to just mention real quick is, I think everybody got a copy or an email with this information of the
Audit?
audit. I hope that the letter that comes with it is just,
What are your concerns, Thomas? So,
well, no, you gotta read the management letter in the front and listen to what they got to say here, because all those things we're talking about are right in these 3 or 4 pages.
Are you required to submit a forecast, Austin, to the audit? No.
They're not worried about a going concern.
Are you required to send next year's budget?
Now, there's all kinds of stuff in here too, but, I mean, that front
concern.
part is important to read.
They're not, right, they're looking at the fiscal year and the financials for that particular fiscal year, right?
We do this and we all have to submit the budget for next year
Yeah.
through the audit period.
Those documents weren't requested, aren't
Yeah,
requested.
no, that's, I'm just asking if
It's
they
just
were or
different.
not. Nope,
It's
that's fine.
different.
Okay. In that case, how do they know that we're having future problems if they? Okay.
She would definitely speak up if she had to say something.
it's good.
Jean is good.
Any other business?
Guess not.
He's just staring at his phone.
My wife is,
Concerned.
I was definitely not.
we're not gonna go Palmagussit.
So our next meeting is Saturday night
Saturday.
at
5:30.
5:30. And we're gonna rope the town council to ask him a question.
No, we don't need to know.
Well, we're gonna, why do we ask the question while he's there? We discussed it, we can ask the question
Yeah, sure, you can.
and get an answer.
Is there anything else we need to do beforehand?
I don't know, I'm waiting for a motion.
Somewhere normal.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, boom! I'll second Karen's motion.
No, Peter already did. All those in, any discussion?
I want to discuss that.
There's no
like to
discussion,
th-
there's
I'd
no
like to
discussion on adjournment.
In this little meeting venue, I would like to say thank you to Peter for,
Oh, yes,
Oh, yes.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I do
It's been a
appreciate you.
pleasure.
Thank you. I was gonna say something after.
He has to stay till June 30th anyway.
Yeah. I just wanna say thank you to everybody.
We do appreciate you.
I think, you've all been very helpful for
The
me,
only
keeping
voice of reason here, people.
keep me on track with a lot of stuff, so.
You'll be missed.
In 6 years, it's been good. I really wanna be able to do it, but it's time.
It's hard.
So thank you.
Yep, we appreciate it.
Come visit us.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can be a,
yeah. I can be a regular
And
person.
raise your hand to ask if there's any
Yeah.
metrics
Excuse
that
me.
you have to match.
Through the chair.
You can put toothpicks in your eyelids. You can do a lot of things. Stay
Any
awake.
other discussion on, motion
You
to
could go to
adjourn?
FinCom meetings in Sutton.
All those,
Ah, oh, that's right.
no discussion.
Yeah,
all
'cause
those in
someone,
favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
yeah, 'cause someone deserved.